Mechanics in writing. Let's talk about this topic. Hi dear learners, this is Renat. Welcome back to our lesson on the properties of our written text. How are your previous lessons so far? What are your takeaways? I want to hear from you. Today we're going to discuss one topic, and it is still under the properties of our written text. Can you still recall the first three properties of our written text? First, we studied about organization. Second is coherence and cohesion. The third is the language use, and we are on the last part, and it is the mechanics of writing. You are expected to find out the rules in mechanics and identify the errors in a text and apply the mechanics in writing. How do you differentiate these two sentences? First, I hear somebody calling Evelyn. Second, I hear somebody calling Evelyn. In the first sentence, the subject I is talking or telling to Evelyn that somebody's calling. In sentence 2, the subject I is talking or telling that somebody is talking to Evelyn. A single comma can make a difference. It changes the meaning. In chat conversation, we don't care much about punctuation marks. But in academic writing, this is still very important. Punctuation is part of the mechanics, which is still under the properties of a written text. In the previous lesson, you studied how language is formally or informally used. The goal of mechanics of writing is to make the writing precise. If the writing is precise, it means that it follows correct spelling, punctuation, italics, and so on. There are 4 components of mechanics. They are the punctuation, capitalization, spelling, and abbreviation. Spelling is my favorite. Now let's proceed to punctuation. Under the punctuation is the comma. Let's talk about commas. Here are the rules. The first rule is use a comma to separate items in a series. A series is made up of 3 or more nouns or verbs or modifiers or phrases. For example, oral communication, EAPP, and 21st century literature are core subjects in the senior high school. There are 3 series. What are they? Oral communication, EAPP, and 21st century. So you have to put a comma, okay? The second is use a comma to separate coordinate adjectives. So coordinate adjectives are 2 or more adjectives that equally modify the same noun. So, for example, the asymptomatic COVID-positive patient was rushed to the hospital. So where are the coordinate adjectives? The asymptomatic and COVID positive. This describe the noun patient. Okay? The third is use a comma to separate long clauses joined by conjunctions such as by, and, but, or, for, yet, and so. And it is omitted if the clauses are short. For example, last week was my sister's wedding, so I prepared to go to the salon for my haircut. Put a comma after the word wedding. Last week was my sister's wedding is the clause. What kind of clause? An independent clause, or simply called a sentence. The fourth one is use commas after introductory clauses or phrase or words that come before the main clause. For example, while I was waiting for the rain to subside, suddenly there was a bolt of lightning split the sky. Where is the introductory clause here? While I was waiting for the rain to subside. You need to review your independent and independent clauses. The fifth one is set of introductory elements, such as words that introduce a sentence with a comma. Common introductory phrases are participial and infinitive phrases, absolute phrases, non-essential appositive phrases and long prepositional phrases of 4 or more words. Oh my! Can you still recall your prepositional phrases, your infinitive? This is grammar time. Examples. Being on time, I have received an incentive from my boss. That's participial phrase. To travel outside the region, you need to secure necessary documents. That is infinitive. Miss Rodriguez, who wrote many English books, was one of my favorite teachers. That is appositive phrase. Oh, I'm sorry, students. I know you get bored with grammar lessons, but this is under mechanics. I have no choice. The fifth one is use commas to set off dates except the month and day, the geographical names, items in dates except the month and day, or the addresses, the street number and names, and titles in names. So the next one is semicolons. Use a semicolon when you link two independent clauses with no connecting words. So for example, I am excited to go home. I wanted to stay there for good. So where is the first clause? I am excited to go home. The second clause is I wanted to stay there for good. So when you link them and no connecting words, use a semicolon. Okay? So next is use a semicolon when joining two independent clauses together with one of the following conjunctive adverbs. So what are those conjunctive adverbs? Adverbs that join independent clauses. For example, however, moreover, therefore, consequently, otherwise, so many conjunctive adverbs. Let's proceed to colons. I know this sounds technical. Use a colon for separating chapter verse in Bible reference, separating volume from page in bibliography, reference, or writing a salutatory greeting in professional writing and giving the time. I think this is quite easy. Use a colon to introduce a formal list. So for example, 3 things I have accomplished today. Answered module, that is the list, one list, email documents, another list, in research enrichment activities. So you write a colon. Let's discuss the capitalization. Always capitalize the first word in a sentence. That is easy, but most students cannot really do it properly. Please take note of this. This is very important. Capitalize proper nouns and adjectives. Okay? Capitalize the pronoun I and the interjection. So you say, oh God, O is capitalized. And I, when you write letter I, okay? I have noticed that some students do not capitalize I. The rule of the thumb is in writing, letter I is always capitalized. Okay? Capitalize professional titles when used before a personal name. Professional titles such as engineer, attorney, they should be capitalized. You should also capitalize academic titles and their abbreviations when they follow a personal name. Capitalize brand names. What's your favorite brand? So you hear, my dream car is Toyota Fortuner. That is a brand, so capitalize it. Capitalize the first word in a letter's greeting or close. So you say, sincerely yours. The S should be capitalized. So capitalize the days of the week, months of the year, and holidays. So let's proceed to spelling. Many learners believe that spelling needs a lot of memorization. American English has a spelling variation compared to British English. For example, organize versus organize, the Z and the S, the color and with U. Notice that in the Philippine educational system, we follow American English. In India or Singapore, I'm sure they use British spelling or British English. So you have to take note of the difference. Next is abbreviation. I guess this is your favorite because you love to shorten words. Abbreviation allow writers to shorten long words and phrases and be more concise in writing. If abbreviations are not used correctly, readers will not recognize them. So here are some rules. Only abbreviate well-known terms. Example, TV for television. Okay? Abbreviations that use capital letters are called initials or initialisms, it is required to put a period after each letter. For example, MD. In formal writing, it is recommended not to abbreviate the dates only if needed, especially when used in charts or tables. So what are the abbreviations for days and months? So you look at MON, M-O-N, OCT, okay? Latin abbreviations should not be capitalized. So this one, the EG means, for example, IE, that is, in other words, and more. So this should not be capitalized, okay? Oh, finally, we are done. What are your takeaways after learning the mechanics in writing? There is bigness in small errors. I have to accept I also commit errors. But what is more important, we are learning. Learning has no end. I have learned also many things from my videos. So now, are you ready for some exercises? Identify if the sentence is correct based on the mechanics of writing. Here are the sentences. Here are the answers. Do you have any questions and clarifications? I hope you will apply the mechanics in writing. If you find this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Happy learning! See you!